The reason why many parents get easily frustrated, dismissive, angry, and defensive every time you express your emotions is because they lack emotional maturity. They are emotionally stunted and emotionally immature. This video is not about vilifying them or being overly critical. It's about understanding the truth so you don't go out and repeat the cycle or experience relationships that mimic your childhood, cold and lonely. My name is Janelle. I'm a trauma recovery coach, and I help people get unstuck and break old patterns of behavior. In this video, I'm going to discuss the hidden impact emotionally immature parents have on your life and the steps you can take to break the cycle of loneliness. Let's get started. Did you know that it can be difficult to identify why you feel lonely, especially if you believe you have everything you want? Picture this. You're married, you have a great career, you have friends, you travel, you have a good relationship with your family, but something feels off. What many of you don't realize is that you grew up with emotionally immature parents. Your parents didn't know how to provide emotional intimacy, and that's the hidden piece. This is something money can't buy. Your parents either shut you down for having feelings, they were completely distracted by their own problems, they got angry with you for expressing emotions, minimized your emotions, or told you that you're being too sensitive. If you attempt to express to your parents how they made you feel, they might snap back. I gave you a roof over your head, you had new clothes, you were in every sport. You're right, I'm such a terrible parent. After hearing that statement, you might start to second guess yourself and feel guilty for saying anything at all. Once again, your feelings are dismissed and you retreat into aloneness. If I said anything that sounds familiar, comment down below. Let me know if you ever felt guilty after expressing how you feel to your parents. I've had clients tell me that they had a good childhood. They were in sports, they were never physically abused, they went on family vacations, and they received every materialistic item possible. However, they also talked about feeling alone and isolated growing up, but never understanding why. They don't understand the why even into adulthood. They believe they're complaining because other people have real problems. Let me tell you something. This is a very real problem, and it's called emotional loneliness. Studies have linked the pain of emotional loneliness to physical pain. It can be hard for you to pinpoint what you're feeling. You just know that you feel empty inside. The reason why you feel empty is because you never had emotional intimacy with your parents. Emotional intimacy looks like being able to tell another human being anything without fear of judgment. Emotional intimacy fosters emotional safety. You don't feel like a burden, and you don't have to shrink yourself. You don't have to minimize yourself in order to gain closeness. You would have been able to connect with your parents or another human being on a deeper level. You would feel seen. It can be a simple exchange of connecting with your eyes, sitting in silence, or venting about your day. With emotional intimacy, you feel fulfilled because someone genuinely wants to get to know you and connect with you. This video is not about vilifying your parents and not taking responsibility for what you can change. It's about understanding the truth so you don't go out and repeat the cycle or experience relationships that mimic your childhood, cold and lonely. I myself can attest to repeating the cycle because I used to gravitate towards people who were emotionally immature. John Bowlby, psychiatrist and psychoanalyst, said, "The primitive part of our brain tells us that safety lies in familiarity," meaning you might date or marry someone who is similar to what you experienced in your past. Why? Because you know how to handle the situation. Whereas if you've only experienced emotional coldness growing up and you internalize feelings as weakness, someone who opens up and expresses their emotions will make you feel uncomfortable. You might shut down or get irritated with them, similar to how your parents responded to you. Most emotionally immature parents are preoccupied with their own problems, that they don't even notice what's happening with their children. The child might feel sad, anxious, depressed, and their parents might not have a clue. These parents are so distant and uncomfortable with their own emotions, it's hard to connect with others. It's easy for them to overlook your emotions, shut you down, minimize you, or call you names like soft and sensitive. Instead of being available to provide connection and emotional safety, they punish you. You stop reaching out and you learned how to handle things on your own. One way that many people deal with their loneliness is becoming hyper-independent and only relying on themselves. Another way people deal with loneliness is being there for everyone else and neglecting their own emotions. For me personally, I became hyper-independent, and as I got older, I realized why. But I essentially abandoned my needs and wants by making myself useful to others. What I didn't realize was abandoning myself for others was my way of coping. I felt uncomfortable asking for help, being celebrated was uncomfortable, and expressing my needs and wants was non-existent. I've made vast improvements, but healing isn't a destination. When both parents are emotionally immature, as a child, their behavior to you is very normal. You didn't know you were missing emotional intimacy, and neither did I. For me, being alone was normal, and my only friend and confidant was God. Let's talk about guilt for a second. Something many people experience with emotional loneliness is guilt. You moved out of your home, you've made a life for yourself. You're married, you have a child, you have a great career, friends, but you're still not happy. To admit this brings up a lot of shame and embarrassment. You feel like a spoiled brat because you have everything you could ever imagine, at least to the outside world. On the inside, your husband's a workaholic who dismisses your feelings, he never spends time with the family, and anytime you complain, he reminds you that he has to provide for the family. Your friends are lovely, but they can be self-absorbed at times. When was the last time they asked you how your day is? And your children, they still need everything from you. Work is demanding, and you're never appreciated. You speak to your parents, but they tell you to stop complaining because you have a beautiful life. They chastise you for being ungrateful. No wonder you feel alone and empty. You can't catch a break. For me personally, I looked within. I noticed how I helped to create and contribute to the superficial relationships that had caused emptiness within me. I wasn't asking for help, and I always said, I'm fine, how are you? I started to want more, but I had to manage the inner critic that told me emotions are weak. I'm weak. I had to be okay with rejection without personalizing it to myself like I did something wrong. Just because you've decided to change, it doesn't mean that the other person is on board. They still may want that superficial relationship where you continuously show up for them, but they don't show up for you. What you have to do now is you have to find the right person who can be still with you in your emotions. I'm going to list 5 steps you can take to help break the cycle of loneliness. Number 1, start acknowledging your emotions, needs, and wants without apologizing. You are doing nothing wrong. Number 2, put yourself out there and ask for your needs to be met despite feeling embarrassed and fearful. Number 3, don't minimize your emotions. Stand with them and learn how to ground yourself with observation and curiosity, not dismissal and criticism. Number 4, find your tribe. Observe others. Are they open with emotions, or do they make fun of others for having emotions? Number 5, recognize you didn't have a solid foundation to know what emotional intimacy looks like or feels like. Stop blaming yourself, do the work, and be open to what the next chapter of your life looks like. If you made it to the end of my video, thanks for watching. Check out my previous video to catch up on my channel. Comment below if you currently feel lonely and what are you doing to manage your loneliness. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share. Bye for now.